10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 47. Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 47 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Before we get into the episode today, I wanted to comment on a really epic fail here at the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Last week I made a big announcement that we are launching our Inner Circle membership, and that's only going to be $5 a month. And then as soon as I announced it and people started signing up, our site proceeded to crash and give people a bunch of problems, and I really apologize to everybody for that. So what we're going to do is we are going to switch over to the Patreon website for our memberships. That's going to be where you sign up, that's going to be where you pay, and that's where you're going to receive all the content. I had somebody build my membership site and they did a really terrible job. So we're getting it rebuilt, and it should be back online in the next couple of weeks, I hope. But in the meantime, you can still sign up for the Inner Circle by going to the Inner Circle tab on our website and following the link to the Patreon website where you can find all the information and sign up. So what do you get with the Inner Circle membership? You get a transcription every single month, and this month it's Roy Hargrove. You also get all of the interesting licks and passages out of that on a separate sheet. I analyze them for you. So basically what that is a ready-made vocabulary sheet for you to work on for the month. I also am going to give you a lead sheet of the tune that I have transcribed in C, E flat, and B flat, so you can take that, play it with your band, work on it at home, bring it to the next jam session, whatever you want. And I also am going to give you a written analysis of the tune that I've transcribed, so you're really going to know how it ticks. On top of that, I'm also going to give you 20% off in our store, and we're going to have a bunch of brand new stuff in there coming up this year, so that's going to be really valuable. And I'm also going to donate 10% of your membership fee to the National Association of Music Educators, which is really important to me, and that organization definitely needs our help. So all of that for only $5 a month, and I'm going to be continuously adding stuff. Geez, you guys, that's not even a cup of coffee. And if you listen to this podcast, please consider going and signing up for the Inner Circle. It would really help us out. So go and sign up today. All right, enough from me. Let's jump into today's episode. Today, we're going back to our monthly Lick of the Month series. We do this the last week of every month and bring you some real live vocabulary that you can work into your playing. So I have been obsessed, being a tenor saxophone player and all, with the playing of Joel Frahm, who's this incredible tenor player from New York City. Kind of flies a little bit under the radar. He does a lot of club dates and a lot of work around the city, but I wouldn't consider him a household name like you would a Chris Potter or Donnie McCaslin or any of those guys that are playing the tenor saxophone. But I got to tell you, this guy can hang with the best of them, and I've really been digging into his playing. So today I'm going to give you two short 2-5-1s from Joel Frahm that are really going to kind of blow your mind and turn into great material for you to work into your own playing. Let's get started on this. All right, so the first lick that we're going to look at, as I mentioned, we're going to do two short 2-5-1s. The first one is in the key of A flat major, and it stands out to me because there's a lot of color tones that Joel Frahm uses really, really well over this line. So if you look at the first line on your sheets, let's go over it real quick. So we start on the 11 of the 2 chord, which is already kind of a nice color tone. It's outside of our gambit of chord tones, and it gives it a really, really nice sound at the beginning of the line. So you're starting on the 11, and then we see a 16th note line that contains 4 notes, and it goes up to 9 to the flat 3 to the 5 to the 7. So there you really are kind of outlining the chord, starting on the 9, which is a really, really nice way to start off the chordal arpeggio in a very interesting way. So we have 11, 9, 3, 5, 7. Now, since this is a short 2-5-1, we get to the 5 chord really, really quickly, all right? So that's going to be your E flat 7 chord. Now, he uses another really brilliant color tone here, which is the 13. So the first note we hear over the dominant chord is the 13. Then he jumps up to the root. Then when he comes down, he uses another great color tone. He uses the augmented 5. So instead of using a B flat over an E flat chord, he uses a B natural. And then he comes down to the 3rd. So over the dominant chord, we have 13, 1, augmented 5, or sharp 5, however you want to think about it. And then we have 3. Now, the reason that this works so well is because we just heard the 13, then we play the 1, then he comes back down to the augmented 5, which could also be considered the flat 13. So he's giving you this real contrast between the actual regular 13 and then the flat 13, framed by the root being played in between. Okay, this is a really kind of brilliant sound that you can use over your 2-5s to keep them very interesting. So then when we get to the major chord, we have a A flat major chord. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. We have an A flat major chord, and the first note that we see over it is the 9, which is a B flat. Then he jumps down to the 5th. So in essence, what he's doing is he's delaying the resolution a little bit, where we're not really playing a chord tone on beat 1 over the major chord. Instead, he's playing the 9, which is definitely a color tone, then finally resolving down to the 5, which is a very common note to play over really any chord. Nice chord tone there. All right, so there's the analysis of line number 1. Let me play it for you now so that you can hear what it sounds like in context. I'll play it without accompaniment a couple times, and then I will play it with a backing track so you can hear it both ways. Here we go. So, man, that line pumps me up so much because that 13 compared to the flat 13 just really makes such a huge difference. And it's just such a swinging line. So really learn that one. That would be a great one to put into your solos. All right, let's go on to the second lick for the week. This is another Joel Frahm lick. This one really utilizes the flat 9 very well. And also he does a great job of working in an interesting rhythm when he plays this one. So let's analyze this one. This one's in the key of C major. It's another short 2-5-1. So if we look at the minor chord, we start on the 3, we go down to the root, then we have a 16th note triplet, which is a really great rhythm to learn to work into your playing. It really provides a lot of interest to the rhythmic scheme, and it's something that's very classic in bebop playing. If you look at the music of Charlie Parker or any of those bebop guys, they used 16th note triplets all over the place. So this would be a really great thing to get into your playing. So then we have a 16th note triplet on beat 2, and it goes from the 7th to the root back to the 7th. Then we come back down. Our last note over the 2 chord is the 5th. Now we're going to the 5 chord, which is G7. We see 2 eighth notes, one on the 3rd, then one on the flat 9. Then again, we see another 16th note triplet that's going back and forth between the root and the flat 9. So we have, G, A flat, G on a 16th note triplet, which leads into the final note over the 5 chord, which is the 7. That then does a very traditional resolution into the major chord by going 7 to 3. So we have an F natural over the G7 chord, into an E over the C major 7 chord, and then we have quarter note triplets basically going right up the scale over the C major chord. So we have 3, 5, 13, 7, 1, 3. So it's really the contrast between these two. If you look at the rhythm over the 2/5 measure, it's always 2/8 notes followed by a 16th note triplet followed by another 8th note. So what he's doing is he's using the harmonic content to highlight the differences between the first half and the second half of the measure. It's the exact same rhythm, it's just that he's using completely different notes, and over the 5 chord he's using that color tone again of the flat 9. Then he contrasts his 16th note triplets by playing quarter note triplets over the major chord. So this is really kind of a masterclass in constructing an amazing, interesting line. Joel Frahm, I mean, you gotta hand it to him. He's one of the best out there right now. So before I start the love fest on Joel Frahm, let me play this for you. So this is line number 2 on your sheet. Man, what a cool line. It really is awesome. I think that these 2 licks are some of my favorite that I've ever given you guys in Lick of the Month. So make sure that you learn them, put them in a bunch of different keys so that you have some flexibility with them. Play them fast, play them slow. Really learn what makes the line tick, and then you can even use some of the concepts like the 13 to the flat 13 or the flat 9 thing in other lines. That's really what you want to do, is make this so that it's not you're just learning the lick and then moving on. You're actually learning the concept of the lick, and then therefore you can carry that over to other aspects of your playing. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this week. We will see you next time with a brand new episode. Please consider signing up for the Inner Circle. It really is going to keep us in business. And if you get anything out of this podcast, I think that $5 a month is not too much to ask from you guys for 4 quality episodes, not to mention what you're going to get from the actual membership. So please consider signing up for that. All right, if you have any questions, send me ideas for shows, 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com, and we will get on that. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time.